Hey, what's going on everybody? My name is Monatui, coach of the Tampa Bay Luxrays, and today I'm bringing you guys our GBA Season 8 Week 3 match versus NecroStevo, coach of the Victorian Shadows. If you have not done so already, please check out his YouTube link in the description below. So I have an entire team builder dedicated to my team. However, for a quick rundown, we have our Dragon Dance, Flare Blitz, Roost Sub, Mega Charizard X, we have our Life Orb Weavile, our physically defensive Calm Mind Comfy, our physically defensive Gliscor, our Modest Choice Scarf Keldeo, and our specially defensive Registeel. And as you can see, Necro decided to bring his Araquanid, his Lycanroc, Rotom Heat, Alakazam, Mega Alakazam, Diggersby, and Tyranitar. So solid team of 6 that he has brought, definitely some of the biggest threats against my team. And looking at this team, I'm realizing a little bit too late, not really necessarily too late, because I knew it during team preview, but my team doesn't really have much to deal with Araquanid whatsoever. I don't have a lot to hit it super effectively. I do have Rotom Mo, but I decided not to bring Rotom this week. For several reasons, like he's got his own Rotom Heat, which beats it. He's got a lot of priority on his team. He's got a lot of things that can kind of deal with it. So I didn't really feel like bringing it this week. And again, Araquanid is just going to be a huge issue. And obviously, even then, it takes Leech Life super effectively, so it's not really a good counter, and it can't OHKO it with Volt Switch or anything. So we don't have anything good to deal with Araquanid. We don't even have anything to hit it super effectively at all. Like, the best thing I can do is hit it with Knockoff from Weavile, Training Kits from Comfy, which is pretty bad. Maybe hit it with a Seismic Toss or two. Aerial Ace on Gliscor is, I guess, technically super effective, but it's not going to be hitting it very hard. So Araquanid's a big problem. Diggersby, as expected, is going to be a very big issue just because it hits my entire team incredibly hard. Mega Alakazam can clean up late game. Lycanroc even can be annoying since it does have Quake Edge access with Stone Edge and Drill Run in order to hit both Charizard and Registeel. And then obviously Tyranitar is kind of a wild card. It can do whatever it wants, and it can be a very threatening Pokemon for my team. So without further ado, we are going to get into this game, and expecting him to want to lead with Araquanid, I'm going to lead with Charizard X, and just because I can take a Liquidation and I can get a lot of damage off onto him with the Flare Blitz. I don't have Dragon coverage, or else I would have clicked it. By the way, hope you got a bit of free time, because this game is going to be, no spoilers, but this game is going to be quite a long one, so sit back, enjoy, grab some popcorn, and watch this whole thing unfold. Put it up to 1.5 speed if you want, whatever you want to do. It's going to be a while, but we're leading with our Charizard. We do have our Mega Stone this week, that's great. We're going to be able to Mega Evolve our Charizard X, and we are going to click Flare Blitz. If he doesn't have a ton of HP investment, this actually will be a 2-hit KO, but as you can see, we're just gonna barely miss out on the 2-hit KO, and he is going to hit us with the Liquidation. If he was banded, he would have been able to knock us out here. However, he did not. It appears that he's probably not Splash Plate either, so he might be some sort of a Berry or Focus Sash maybe if he wants to get up Sticky Web. But because I do want to keep my Charizard, I can Roost Up versus potentially the Rotom Heat. I'm going to switch out into my Keldeo to take the Liquidation as he does go for the Sticky Web, which will be able to slow down the rest of my team, which is very annoying, but I do have Defog on my Comfy in order to deal with it. And I'm going to make a little bit of a mistake here. As you can see, I made the appropriate switch into Keldeo, and Hydro Pump is going to be a 2-hit KO, so we'll be able to go for that. And he's going to go for the Liquidation. I'm going to take it relatively well. I say relatively well, I take it sort of. But we're gonna miss the next Hydro Pump, and this was what I'm saying is was a mistake on my part. I should have just clicked. ESPN is going off. That's cool. Great. But I should have clicked Secret Sword here, because it would have been able to 2-hit KO him, and I wouldn't have had to have missed 2 Hydro Pumps in a row. I'm not really sure what was going through my brain when I clicked Hydro Pump over Secret Sword. Secret Sword does more to this thing anyway. Maybe I was like fearing like a physically defensive Rotom coming in and then Volt switching and gaining momentum and whatnot, but because I missed 2 Hydro Pumps in a row, which is partially my fault because I could have clicked Secret Sword and not risk the miss, we have to go out into our Weavile in order to outspeed this thing and knock it out with Knockoff. Weavile still outspeeds Araquanid under webs, so we're able to do that. Turns out he was Wakan Berry smart. Makes sense for things like my Rotom, but now he can send in his own Rotom, and what I'm actually going to do here is go out into my Charizard X, just because I see this as a potential opportunity to get a Roost Off onto my Charizard, be able to heal up. Overheat potentially will be able to knock me out at this point, Volt Switch will not, so depending on what he has, depending on his set, or depending on what he goes for, I'll be able to Roost Up. As you can see, he actually goes for Reflect, which makes me think maybe he doesn't have Overheat. But as you can see, he actually tacks on some very good prep and throws on Foul Play, which is able to deal with my Charizard very effectively. It would have been able to do over half. It would have been a potential 2-hit KO. Obviously, if I started setting up Dragon Dances, it would have been very helpful to him as well. So that's very good prep on his part, and unfortunately now we are down 4-5. However, we can send in our Comfy, and depending on what he goes into on this Volt Switch, we can start doing some good damage. But first, what I want to do for sure is get rid of these sticky webs. So what I'm going to do is just click that defog, get rid of webs on my side of the field, also get rid of the reflect on his side of the field. That was also a big reason why I clicked defog, because I do not want to deal with, I don't want to deal with webs for sure, and I don't want to deal with him taking less from my physical attackers, because I do have quite a few on my team. You know, I have Gliscor, I have Weavile still around, so I don't want to be forced into going for special attacks versus his team. He's going to send in his Tyranitar, as I just mentioned, and I'm going to switch out just because I don't want him being banded with Stone Edge and being able to 2-KO me or just doing a ton of damage to me. So I'm going to go right out into my Gliscor, because if he was banded, I would have taken it and then roosted off the damage. However, as you can see, he actually just reveals the Taunt, which is kind of annoying for me, but it's not the biggest deal in the world here. I expect him to switch out here because you know, on the Gliscor I can hit him super effectively with the Earthquake, but actually he just ends up going for the Stealth Rock, as I send in my Registeel, which is a bit of an issue for me. I'm going to attempt to go for a Toxic here, just because I know that he has Taunt, and he knows I know he has Taunt, so I didn't think he would go for it again. If he had Low Kick, he might have wanted to go for it there, maybe a Superpower, maybe a double, something along those lines, he might have wanted to go for it there, but he does just go for the Taunt once again, which means I can't go for the Toxic, and then on the following turn he's going to be able to Low Kick me in the face, which doesn't really make sense, because Low Kick, that would be a High Kick, but he's going to Low Kick me. I'm Clear Body instead of Light Metal, so that's something I should have looked out for. I didn't want to be slowed down by webs and potentially outslow his Araquanid, but regardless, having the Light Metal would have been a lot more beneficial in this game, because he does have the T-Tar with Low Kick. But regardless, you know, a couple turns have happened. He's going to pull a switch out into his Alakazam. As I pull the switch back out into my Comfy, because he's revealed Taunt and Stealth Rocks, I'm thinking he's more of a defensive Tyranitar, which means that Comfy can set up on it potentially. But it can also potentially set up on this Alakazam as well. As you're going to see here, he is going to go for that Mega Evolution, and on this turn he is actually going to go for the, well, he's going to trace my Triage ability, which isn't going to help him unless he has Recover on this set. He's actually going to go for Substitute, which I'm fully okay with, because on this turn I actually clicked Calm Mind, which helps me out in several different ways. Like, A, I'll be able to break the sub on the next turn with Draining Kiss, and I'll be able to take on Psychics better if he is running Psychic over Psyshock. Also, on this following turn, I'm going to click Draining Kiss over any other move, because if he's sub Encore, I don't want to be locked into Calm Mind. I'd rather be locked into Draining Kiss so that I can continuously do damage to things and at least get recovery off each time I hit something. So as you can see there, I'm going to be able to break his sub, we're going to get our HP back to a decent amount, and he is going to go for that Psychic. And because I am at +1 special defense, I will be able to take it relatively well. Not fantastically, like, you know, it's going to do somewhere close to like 45-50%. However, it's not enough to 2-KO me from the range I was at, and so, despite living on a little bit of HP, we are able to get up to +2/+2 with the second Calm Mind, and now we can start healing up versus this thing. We do have our Priority Synthesis, so we will be able to heal before he's able to attack me again. We obviously do have that Draining Kiss, which is now boosted because it's at +2. So as you're going to see here, what I decide to do is go for the Synthesis. Again, get ourselves healthy again. His Psychic is going to be doing even less because now we're at +2 special defense, as just mentioned. And as you're going to see, we are able to eat that. And now what I can do is go for that Draining Kiss, because A, it covers the switch, and B, it'll be able to do a lot of damage to him, as well as get myself back some HP without wasting any Synthesis. So he's going to go right out into Tyranitar, and, you know, remember how I mentioned in my team builder that Comfy was kind of weak? Keep in mind, this is a +2 super effective stab Draining Kiss, and it's gonna do nothing. So I'm not gonna be able to 2-KO him from this range. However, again, because I think this is a defensive Tyranitar, I should be able to take on a Stone Edge. I am fully physically defensive. He's obviously not banded. So whatever he decides to do, I should be able to take it. So what I'm gonna do is just go for another Calm Mind. And as you're gonna see here, we are going to get ourselves to +3 special attack and +3 special defense. And he is going to end up going for that Stone Edge, but again, because we are Fizz Def, because he is more of a bulky variant, it's not going to be able to knock me out. We are able to take it. I believe he was still pretty offensive, because that still did a ton for me being fully Fizz Def, but regardless, he had a couple supportive moves, and we were able to take it, because he was not banded and whatnot. And now he's going to make kind of a questionable play. I understand this play, because he needed something that could take on my Comfy immediately. But he is now giving up, or looks like he is giving up, a lot of damage on one of the biggest offensive threats to my team in his Diggersby. So what we're going to be able to do is hit him with the first Draining Kiss. At +3, we are not able to 2-hit KO him. However, because again we are fully 100% physically defensive, this second Draining Kiss is going to fail to take him out, but we are able to gain ourselves enough HP to the point where this Life Orb return is not going to be able to knock me out, and we are able to live on a tiny bit of health. He's going to go down to Life Orb, and now we are able to get off another hit onto something else, and depending on his Lycanroc, we will actually be able to live a hit from it and potentially even sweep his team. If he's Z, he'll be able to knock me out. If he's Banded, he'll be able to knock me out. And another unfortunate thing is because the sand is up and he is a rock type, his special defense is actually being boosted, so this is not going to do as much as I would have hoped. And as you're going to see, even though we do get a decent amount of HP back, he is going to reveal the Z Crystal, and he will just be able to knock me out, because this is the Splintered Storm Shards, and it's going to do a lot of damage. It's a stab rock move, like in Rock's signature Z move, and I had never seen this Z animation before, and I gotta tell you, it looks really cool, but it is also like friggin' gruesome. Like Comfy's like terrified right now. Like there's little lines coming out of his head to show the distress that he or she is in. Lycanroc's going up his head, and then the rocks friggin'. Dad, this is not the time right now. Hang on. The rocks friggin' point towards him, and they just start berating him. Like that's how they like stoned people to death in the Middle Ages. But you know, anyway, this is gonna kill Comfy. He died a brutal death. And now we're going to send out our Gliscor. Despite me being a little bit behind still, there is actually potential for me to win. Gliscor plus Registeel walls the vast majority of his team, and I do have Weavile in the back, which can do a lot of damage to his team. I don't have Rocks up yet, which is a very big issue. He still has Rotom. Mega Alakazam still outspeeds me, but I can potentially dodge a Focus Blast and knock him out. And you know, that could be very good for me. You know, there's potential for Weavile to do things if I'm able to dodge. But again, the primary concern right now is keeping my Gliscor as well as my Registeel healthy, because it can wall the majority of his team. Because I still have a decent amount of HP on my Registeel, it will be able to take a Focus Blast from the Mega Alakazam. And as you can see here, he actually clicks Foul Play onto my Gliscor as I go for Roost. I went for Roost there just because if he did go for Overheat, I wanted to be able to take it, and again, I need my Gliscor healthy for this game, so I didn't want it taking a lot of unnecessary damage or even potentially getting 2-hit KO'd by Overheat. But because he keeps clicking Foul Play, I'm actually thinking that he doesn't have Overheat, and it would make sense, you know, he would be Dual Stab, maybe Volt Switch Foul Play. I believe he has revealed Volt Switch at this point, so assuming that his last move is Life Screen, then we do know his entire set, and he does not have Overheat. But I don't want to make I don't want to make that assumption for sure yet. He could just be spamming Foul Play to lead me into thinking that he doesn't have Overheat. If he doesn't want to he didn't have to bring Light Screen versus my team. I have more physical attackers that would have been more threatening, but we do find out later on that he does have Light Screen. Regardless, he's going to get himself very, very low. He's realizing that he is not making any progress with his Gliscor whatsoever, and so he's going to hard switch out into his Mega Alakazam, which is going to trace my Poison Heal. It's a good thing I did not click. I clicked Roost here, and I did not click Toxic. That would have been a very big problem for me. But regardless, again, I do need this Gliscor healthy, and I don't quite knock him out with Earthquake at this range, so I need to switch out and save him. I'm going to make kind of a ballsy play, just hard switch in a Weavile. Which again is my last offensive Pokemon to deal with this team on the Psychic, and I'm thinking, okay, if I dodge a Focus Blast, I'll be able to knock this Sand out and win. But unfortunately, he has Signal Beam, which, while weaker, is still strong enough to knock out Weavile, and it does not miss ever, so he is going to be able to get rid of my Weavile, and the last two Pokemon on my team are going to be this Registeel and the Gliscor, but it is, again, like I mentioned earlier, although those are the last two Pokemon I have, this game is far from over because I can potentially wall the rest of his team. In comes his Tyranitar. At this point, I click Seismic Toss, hoping he would want to stay in with his Alakazam, click Focus Blast to put it in range of Earthquake for my Gliscor, maybe I can dodge one, but he actually just ends up hard switching out into Tyranitar as I smack it with the Seismic Toss, and we are able to get some good chip damage off onto it. I will be able to knock him out with another one, and his Reflect ends, which is very good for my Gliscor. I'm going to click Protect here just so that I can block the potential low kick, as he actually ends up going for Taunt, expecting me to either go for Rocks or go into my Gliscor. Again, going for Protect means that I am going to get healthier, I will be able to take on the Alakazam a little bit better, And this is where the game really slows down, because I have to play this slow. I have to play this kind of stally in a way. Like, I have to make sure, I have to wear down his team very slowly. There's no other way for me to do it. Registeel physically cannot do damage outside of Toxic or Seismic Toss, and Gliscor is not going to be doing a lot of damage either outside of Earthquake, and even then, like, Toxic is going to be my more reliable damage dealer. But regardless, at this point, he's going to go out and do his Rotom Heat to be immune to the Earthquake. He's going to take some Sandstorm damage, and then he's going to take some Poison damage, and I believe in 2 turns he will fall, which is very good for me. This Rotom is very annoying. I don't want it to keep getting up screens and whatnot. I don't want it to get a Reflect and make it so that Gliscor cannot knock out the Alakazam with Earthquake. So what I'm actually going to do here, because it looks like he doesn't have Overheat, and I think he's going to go for Reflect here, is I'm going to go right out into my Registeel, because I'll eat a Volt Switch no problem. And what I'm actually going to do is get up my Stealth Rock, because getting up my rocks will guarantee that on switch in, Alakazam will go down to Earthquake, Tyranitar is going to be pressured continuously. If he does not Volt Switch into T-Tar now, I believe it may die to, no, I don't think it'll die to rocks, but getting up rocks means that Tyranitar can't switch in more than one more time, and so these late game rocks are actually going to be very important. He's going to get the Sand Up, which isn't really that big of a deal. Both of my Pokemon are immune to it. He still has the Rotom, which is not immune to it, and we are able to get up our Stealth Rock at this point and gain back a little bit of HP with the leftovers. You're going to see again a theme of me just taking a little bit of damage with the Registeel, and then me just kind of protect stalling to get some HP back with the leftovers. So there's that. Again, we're going to eat the hit, or we're going to not take the hit because we go for Protect, and now again we can go back out into our physical defensive Gliscor in order to take on whatever he wants to do. However, you may think that I can just go for Earthquake here and knock him out, but that is actually not what I want to do, and the reason for that is because he still has his Reflect up. I don't want to, I don't want him to be able to, I don't want to knock this Tyranitar out, because A, I'll be at low HP, I want to go for Roost first, but even on the following turn, I don't want to knock out his Tyranitar and then have him go for, into his Alakazam in order to either revenge kill me or not get killed by the Earthquake. You know, at this point Gliscor can beat the rest of his team, but with the Reflect up, I'm not going to be able to knock out the Alakazam, and so his Alakazam still has that potential to beat me. I have to stall out the Reflect in order for this to work, and so what I'm actually going to do is just spam Aerial Ace versus this Tyranitar. It's not going to do a lot of damage, it's going to slowly chip away at him, because A, it's a weak hit, B, it's a resistance, and C, he has the Reflect up, so it's even doing half than it would. So again, I'm just going to keep spamming Aerial Ace versus this thing. I'm going to click Roost just to make sure I'm at full health so that the Mega Alakazam can't knock me out. If he hard switches in Alakazam here, that's a silly play because he's risking his win condition. So again, I'm just going to allow myself to take the Stone Edge as I continue to spam Aerial Ace, and now the Reflect is going to wear off, and that's fantastic for me. However, the taunt onto my Gliscor has not worn off, and one more attack against this Tyranitar means that I will knock it out with my Gliscor, and if I knock it out, then I'm in range of Psychic from Alakazam, so I cannot knock out his Tyranitar yet. Instead, I'm going to go out into my Registeel in order to take the Stone Edge, and then double out my Gliscor in order to Roost off on the next Low Kick or Stone Edge, but as you can see here, he actually hard switches out into his Alakazam, which is fantastic for me. I do live a Focus Blast if he does have it, and I can hit him with a Seismic Toss. As you can see here, he's actually just going to sack off his Rotom to the Stealth Rock. I didn't make that prediction expecting the Alakazam to come in, but it ended up working out heavily in my favor. I'm not sure what he was expecting, but being able to do that for me was great. Again, we're getting more HP on our Registeel. We can potentially Roost up with our Gliscor a little bit later, and when we are going to Roost is going to be on the next turn, because he actually sends in Lycanroc, and he's pretty much forced to go for Drill Run at this point. If he had SD, that could have been a problem, but obviously there's the chance of me still dodging Stone Edge. Regardless, he is going to go for that Drill Run as we send in our Gliscor, which is good for me, because we are out of range of Stone Edge. Unless he crits me. As you can see, he does miss the Stone Edge. That wouldn't have mattered unless he crit me on that turn, because we would have been able to live anyway. We would have been able to Roost off the damage regardless. So we're going to get ourselves back to a full amount of HP, and we're going to do the same thing to this Lycanroc that we tried doing to the Rotom, and then we tried doing to the Tyranitar, and that is making sure that our Gliscor is at full HP at the end of the turn, or when this Lycanroc goes down. because I need to live that Psychic from Mega Alakazam. So at this point, I'm going to go for Toxic over Roost, just because if I went for Earthquake, or I'm going to go for Toxic over Earthquake, because if I went for Earthquake and he landed the Stone Edge, I would be a little bit lower, and I would be closer to dying to the Alakazam. That's not what I want, so I click Toxic. Again, it's super repetitive, it's super slow for you guys to watch, but it is my best chance to win this game. He's going to miss another Stone Edge. None of these misses matter whatsoever. I think he missed twice, which is the same number of Hydro Pumps I missed, and again, like, even if he did land each of the Stone Edges, it would not have mattered. He's going to go for a Zen Headbutt here, attempting to flinch me, just to get a little bit of chip damage off onto me. However, it's not going to end up flinching me, and we do go for that Roost once again, and as I wanted to do, as was planned, this Lycanroc is going to go down with my Gliscor at full HP, and now it is the moment of truth. Can Gliscor live a Psychic from Alakazam? Because of the rocks, he's definitely in range of Earthquake. The only mon he has after this is going to be his Tyranitar. So as you're going to see here, he's going to try his Poison Heal, not that big a deal. He's going to go for that Psychic. We have no special defense investment, but Gliscor is still going to be able to live the hit, and we are going to be able to knock him out with the Earthquake. And now all he has left is that Tyranitar, which will go down to Stealth Rock, and we are going to be able to pick up a win over NecroStevo. We're going to win a very long, very slow-paced game, 2-0 over NecroStevo, the Victorian Shadows, and we are going to, so far in this season of the GBA, we are going to be 2-1 with a positive differential, and that feels pretty good, you know? This is a tough game, for sure. The misses of the Hydro Pump misses earlier on really kind of hurt me a lot. Like, if you look at his team, he didn't have Keldeo switch-ins at all. Like, I kind of just spammed Secret Sword versus his team. I kind of just spammed Scald versus his team. He didn't have very good switch-ins. Again, still my fault for clicking Hydro Pump, because Secret Sword would have 2-KO'd the Araquanid and I wouldn't have missed twice in a row, but, you know, it's still kind of annoying. But I'm glad, at least, even though I made the misplay earlier on, I feel like I played very, very well mid to late game, and that's what ended up letting me win this game, because first, Comfy was able to put in a lot of work, and that was fantastic. He was able to put a couple dents in his team, which is really, really good. And then the combination of Gliscor plus Registeel, he had just absolutely nothing for. Like, Registeel was able to wall the Mega Alakazam, which is the biggest threat to my team. He was able to protect Skull, get some leftovers back. It was able to take on Tyranitar's Stone Edges, where Gliscor couldn't, because it was taunted and couldn't recover off of them. Again, it was just, it's a great game. You know, early game I kind of struggled. Mid to late game I pulled it together and was able to win, despite the fact that it took close to an hour to play this game. And that's obviously my fault. I did what I had to do to win. I could have just threw in the towel earlier on and saved you guys a lot of the time, but you know what? I came through with a win. That's what matters. So, thank you to Necro for the game. He was a good sport about it as well. We talked about it after the game. He was like, yeah, don't worry. You did what you had to do. Yeah, that's pretty much all that I have to say. Next week, we're going up against Wolf Glick, against the, I think he's the Milwaukee Bewares, I believe is his team. So that's going to be very exciting. VGC World Champion, cool dude. Thank you guys very much for watching. Hope you all enjoyed, and I will see you in the next game.